everyone. Welcome back to The Worship Cellist. I'm David Feldman, and today we're talking about finger spacings and step patterns in hand orientations. So because of how notes are organized within a key, every hand orientation will follow a specific pattern of note spacings based on the whole and half step pattern of that part of the scale. So to play correctly in any given hand orientation, you need to know not just where your first finger is, but also which finger pattern is used in that orientation to play the second and third notes of that orientation. So first, let me explain the difference between a whole step and a half step. So a half step is the smallest distance in Western music. It's the distance from any piano key to the very next adjacent piano key, whether white or black. On the cello, it's the distance between any two consecutive fingers without any extra space between them. Right, all of those are examples of half steps. And of course, a whole step would just be the distance of two half steps. So if I play, right, that includes two half steps. But if I just go, that's the distance of a whole step. So in any scale, there are two types of steps between notes. These are half and whole steps. And here's a chart that shows the pattern of whole and half steps in a key. So because of this, every hand orientation follows one of three possible step patterns when playing three consecutive notes. Those patterns are either half whole, whole half, or whole whole. Those are the only three. If you take any three consecutive notes of the scale, you will find one of those three patterns. So on the cello, our left-hand fingers are typically spaced one half step apart in what we call a closed hand shape. That makes it easy to play half whole or whole half step patterns using 1-2-4 or 1-3-4 fingerings. For example, if I want to play, or if the hand orientation I'm in uses whole half, my fingering would be 1-3-4, because 1-3 makes a whole step, and 3-4 makes a half step. If my hand orientation uses half whole, then I would use the fingering 1-2-4, because 1-2 is my half step, and 2-4 is my whole step. However, if an orientation uses a whole pattern, this is true in several orientations such as do orientation, fa orientation, so orientation, we need to place a whole step between our first and second fingers because we just can't play the distance of a whole step and another whole step with a closed hand shape. So when we put a space between our first and second fingers, cellists typically call this an extension, but it allows us to play a whole step between 1 and 2, and then another whole step between 2 and 4. So we call this, rather than a closed hand shape, we call it an open hand shape, and it sounds like this. So learning the finger patterns for all 7 orientations takes a bit of time, but the good news is that they stay the same in every key. For example, do orientation will always follow a whole step pattern, no matter what key you're in, while la orientation will always follow a whole half pattern, as you can see in these images. So if you're just getting started, I recommend focusing on just 1 or 2 hand orientations first. The great thing is you only need to learn one orientation to play a chord chart in any key. So if you find this content helpful, as always, remember to like and subscribe. Happy celloing, and I'll see you soon.